ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतिरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Canto 1, Chapter 5, Verse 16. विचक्षणोऽस्यार्हति वेदितुं विभोर अनन्तपारस्य निवृत्तितः सुखम् प्रवर्तमानस्य गुणैरनात्मनस्ततो भवान् दर्शय चेष्टितं विभोः. The Supreme Lord is unlimited. Only a very expert personality, retired from the activities of material happiness, deserves to understand the knowledge of spiritual values. Therefore, those who are not so well situated due to material attachment should be shown the ways of transcendental realization by your goodness through descriptions of transcendental activities of the Supreme Lord. Anatmanah. Anatmanah. So basically saying here that only those who are retired from activities of material happiness, they can understand this transcendental knowledge, which is jnana. But for those who are not so well situated, meaning those who are not situated, who are not, who, due to material attachment, they are not retired. Those who have not retired from activities of material happiness. Why? Because of attachment to material attachment. Because due to material attachment, what is the path for them? What is the way for them for their transcendental realization? And through description of the transcendental activities of the Supreme Lord. That is why this Srimad Bhagavatam is dear both to the already the monists, meaning those who already reached Brahmabhuta platform, and materialists. For every both, it is beneficial. For the transcendentalists who are already on the Brahmabhuta platform, they will start experiencing actual bliss. And for those who are on the platform of material attachment, they will lose the attachment in course of time if heard attentively. And Nityam. Theological science is a difficult subject. So this is theological science means Bhagavad Tattva Vijnana. So basically this is just the Gnana process, especially when it deals with the transcendental nature of God. It is not a subject matter to be understood by persons who are too much attached to material activities. See, too much attached to material activities, meaning if we have to come to bhakti also, we cannot be too much attached. People who are too much attached, they don't come to bhakti. They are just engaged in material activities. We might have attachment, but we are not too much attached. So much attached that we don't want to come to bhakti. No, not so much attached, but we are attached. So we can understand to some extent because we are engaging in the path of on the path of bhakti. Only the very expert who have almost retired from material activities by culture or spiritual knowledge can be admitted to the study of this great science. This Prabhupada is referring to Gyanis. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly stated that out of many hundreds and thousands of men, only one person deserves to enter into transcendental realization. Bahunam janmanam ante gnanavan mam prapadyate. This is what it is. Now, out of many thousands of such transcendentally realized persons, only a few can understand the theological science specifically dealing with the God as a person. Sri Vyasadeva is therefore advised by Narada to describe the signs of God directly by relating his transcendental activities. So the process of jnana is not for everybody. It requires us to be completely, it is a pre-qualification required. One has to be retired from materialistic activities. Only if somebody has crossed the stage of karma, they can come to jnana, and then slowly, bahunam janmanam ante, they'll come to Krishna. Gnanaman mam prapadyate vasudeva sarvam. But for others who have not, made so much of progress in material life, etc., retiring from material activities, etc., direct, that is what this is saying. To describe science of God directly. So this science of God which is being described in the Gnana process is slow and indirect. Indirect meaning from first Brahman, then Paramatma, then Bhagwan. But that when there is description about transcendental activities of the Lord, it is direct description. Direct. Powerful, much more at a higher, say, position than Brahma Gnana, which looks very complicated and difficult to understand, and which most people get stuck, right? Vyasadeva is himself a personality expert in this science, because he gave the Vedanta Sutra, so he's expert in this science, and is unattached to material enjoyment. Therefore, he is the right person to decide to describe it, and Shukadeva Goswami, son of Vyasadeva, is the right person to receive it. So Vyasadeva is the right person to describe the transcendental activities, because one who can describe transcendental activities, who is retired from activities of material happiness, either through the gnana process or through the bhakti process. No, but bhakti process is more powerful, and it is the path is the same to achieve perfection also. But in gnana process, the initial path is different, and then subsequently to achieve perfection, they have to again adopt bhakti. Otherwise, gnana cannot give fruition. It can't fulfill. It can't give the required result. So bhakti is the most powerful. We discussed this even in Madhurya Kadambini. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and establishes that bhakti is most powerful, and it is also required for karma and gnana to really fructify. And that bhakti just includes Shravanam Kirtanam, which is hearing, glorifying transcendental activities of the Lord. That is why Narada Muni, who is such an expert physician, he's an expert physician for all the Bhavaroga. So he's saying, you directly give. Why are you giving indirect? Why you want them to take medicine after, giving them some other process? Directly give them the medicine, most powerful medicine, which is Savanam. So you have to just hear about Krishna's activities. Somewhere I was in Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, 10th canto, he is saying, Parikshit Maharaj is very, very anxious to hear Krishna's pastimes. Parikshit Maharaj says that, yeah, all other pastimes of the Lord are very attractive. But many might not have taste for hearing about the transcendental activities of the Lord. But when one hears Krishna's childhood pastimes, automatically he will develop a desire to hear the other pastimes of Krishna, meaning even the other avatars. Meaning that childhood pastimes of Krishna are so attractive that even one who is not so interested in hearing about the Supreme Lord will develop that attachment. That is why that Krishna book is so important. I've been repeatedly, I've been saying that read Krishna book every day. Read Krishna book every day. That is what Prabhupada said. Before sleeping, read Krishna book. Yesterday, as I was reading, Dinabandhu Prabhu's Rajalila, part 2, very beautiful book. So in that, he's actually saying that at one point of time, all these pastimes he had completely memorized. So he became qualified to actually start becoming the tour guide for this Vrajamandal Parikrama many years back. So this complete memorization of the Leela, right? It should be right in our head. That should be our goal. So if we continuously, constantly, repeatedly keep reading it, then we will be able to recollect. We should be able to recollect Krishna's pastimes in detail, not in summary, in detail. So that much we should, put the mind through this exercise of reading again and again and again and again. I told before also, my father, he left his body 6 years back, and literally, he was in the middle of that Krishna book. He's in the hospital, like coughing like crazy, and he's describing a pastime from Krishna book. He's saying Krishna did this, Krishna went there, Krishna. I mean, and what did he do? He simply followed Prabhupada's instructions, which was to just simply read Krishna book again and again and again. Hmm. So it's a very, very powerful process. This hearing about pastimes of the Lord, especially hearing about Krishna's activities. So the Krishna book is a boon to mankind. That Srila Prabhupada, the special mercy of the Acharya, special mercy of the Acharya. Srimad Bhagavatam was always there, right? But he gave Krishna book. It is special mercy. And when Prabhupada desired, Prabhupada writes in the preface saying that those one who reads this Krishna book will develop love of Krishna. So that is his, his blessing along with the book, that his mercy that he is giving along with the book. So we should just read. It's so nice. And even Amala Bhakta Swami, so he has an audio book of Krishna book. So you can hear if you have challenge reading, you can hear. But somehow this Krishna's pastimes have to be in our head. This is very, very important. The more and more and more we hear, the more taste we'll develop to hear more and more. It's like that. It's just never ending. Uh, Srimad Bhagavatam is the topmost theological science, and therefore it can react on the layman, see, as medicinal doses. So it can react. So it can actually cure our disease because it contains the transcendental activities of the Lord. There's no difference between the Lord and the literature. The literature is the factual literary incarnation of the Lord. So I request everybody to please not write anything on any of these transcendental books. I see people using it like a normal textbook and making marks, notes, and then like sometimes when we are reading, we are bored. We use the pen and start scribbling some nonsense. Some we draw some pictures, something at the end of the sheet, or some. You know, we can't treat Srimad Bhagavatam like that because it is factual literary incarnation of the Lord. So with as much respect we read the content, with so much respect we should actually even worship the book also, physical book if we have, non-different. So the layman can hear the narration of the activities of the Lord. Thereby they are able to associate with the Lord and thus gradually become purified from material diseases. So this gradually means, right, whenever we have some problem, we go to a doctor. Doctor gives medicine so that we have to take it every day. And every day as we take the medicine, gradually the disease will go. Right? Similarly, this bhava roga, this material disease, if it has to go, every day we have to take medicine, which is Bhagavatam. The expert devotees also can discover novel ways and means to convert the non-devotees in terms of particular time and circumstance. Of course, we should understand that Prabhupada has already given us novel ways because he came to give us the way in Kali Yuga. We don't have to really, I mean, continuously keep reinventing. Sometimes it might be required, but that also, if you see Prabhupada's preaching, he's dealt with all kinds of devotees. For example, say some people are very, very completely materially engrossed. They're not in a stage of any kind of shravanam. What should we do for them? Simply kirtanam, which is kirtana like Hare Krishna Mahamantra singing, and prasadam. That's all. More and more and more and more and more we do this, slowly, steadily, they'll come to the stage of hearing. Um, some people are very ready for Shravanam, more sattvic. But for Prabhupada has preached to all kinds of devotees because he was all over the world. So we shouldn't think that our situation is any special. Actually, we don't even encounter so many Mayavadis, impersonalists in India. As in, we don't, people who come are generally, and that gnana is also not so prevalent today, right? So it's not so difficult to preach, but we have to just identify what is required, what approach to take. But Prabhupada has given us the ways. Devotional service is dynamic activity, and the expert devotees can find out competent means to inject into the dull brains of the materialistic population. Such transcendental activities of the devotees for the service of the Lord can bring a new order of life to the foolish society of materialistic men. So many of Srila Prabhupada's God brothers, etc., criticized him. But Prabhupada is saying, no, we can find expert devotee. He was expert devotee. So he found competent means that made the whole world Krishna conscious. This is a new order of life. You got a new order of life to this foolish society of materialistic men. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his subsequent followers exhibited expert dexterity in this connection. By following the same method, one can bring the materialistic men of this age of quarrel into order for peaceful life and transcendental realization. So Prabhupada is saying Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his subsequent followers exhibited this dexterity, expertise, right? So by following the same method, Prabhupada is not saying that he himself, he's saying he's just following the same method of previous acharyas. Um, can bring materialistic men of this age of quarrel into order. But we should understand Prabhupada very well, gave very specific prescription for Kali Yuga. Otherwise, actually, these kind of purports are unheard of. This is, you see previous acharyas purports, right? Unless absolutely required, it will be like some 2, 3 lines, or maybe one paragraph. Prabhupada has written pages and pages of purports. For whom? For all materialistic men of this society. So he is given more expert, like, medicine. So if somebody reads the purports, naturally they should become Krishna conscious, even if they don't understand the verses translation. So he is expert. He has already given us the expert process. We have to simply follow. And unfortunately today, people are reluctant to read Prabhupada's books. You're seeing that in our preaching also. Either they're reluctant to read or they read and they don't understand. So we decided we are just going to keep having study classes in different languages. People have to just sit and hear. If they're not able to read, if they're not able to understand, we know to what extent they can understand. So we should explain the subject matter. But we have to make sure that everybody hears small books to, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Chaitanya Charitamrita. Everybody has to read. Facilitating that is very, very important. So that is the work of preachers. So we should do this as well. I mean, we should make sure. And we are assuming, saying that, for example, I hear this argument saying that, okay, people who have done Bhakti Shastri they understand. Actually, no, because if we have to evaluate Bhakti Shastri students as per actual criteria, most of the people will not pass. Bhakti Shastri is actually not so trivial. It's a very, very difficult thing to do, but because we are spoon feeding, we literally spoon feeding. Actually, I think that more than better than Bhakti Shastri is simply a systematic study of Srila Prabhupada's books and create some kind of a environment where people are not used to today writing so many exams, and it's like people are not so studious. That Bhakti Shastri is for studious people, studious, like who want to become scholars like that. But for general masses, more than Bhakti Shastri, we should just help them understand Prabhupada's books and make it a practical oriented course. Like make a list of, like every time there's important point, make a note. Like you have a whiteboard, make a note. People should write it down. So basic, like most important philosophy should get covered. So somebody just he or she reads his own notes, then they should be very clear what was discussed. In a very simple way, and just ask them to recollect what you have written. Open your notes, recollect what all. Okay, well, read out what have you written. That's all. Simple kind of very for people who are not used to too much of heavy reading and all that. We should create some easy way by which they can understand. But otherwise, if you make it methods are very scholarly, then it's difficult. People might not actually come to the. So we have to somehow help other devotees who are not readers, who are not used to reading. Okay. त्यक्त्वा स्वधर्मं चरणाम्बुजं हरेर्भजन् अपक्वोत पठेत् ततो यदि यत्र क्वा वा भद्रम् अभूदमुष्य किं को वार्ताप्तो भजतां स्वधर्मतः. One who has forsaken, please see, very, very important verse. One who has forsaken his material occupation. It's not a taboo to forsake material occupation. Bhagavatam is saying, one who has forsaken. Why would it talk about some possibility which is not recommended? It's saying, yeah, one has to forsake material occupation. Even if one has forsaken, for what? To engage in devotional service with the Lord. May sometimes fall, not all the time. May sometimes fall down while in an immature stage. So to prevent this fall down in an immature stage is to be constantly in touch with devotees, constantly in touch with Srila Prabhupada, constantly in touch with Guru. Then the chances of fall down in an immature state, because when the devotee becomes mature, then the chances of fall down are much lesser. So someone has forsaken material occupation for what? To engage in devotional service. But we should be very clear that we have actually engagement in devotional service before we so forsake. Suppose say our heart is, pulling us, drawing us towards devotional service, and we are losing interest in material occupation, which is a very, very good qualification, by the way. But we should make sure that I have 24 hours engagement in devotional service. Today we are doing 2 hours in a day, and then we say, "Oh, I'm so attracted to bhakti, I'll give up my material occupation." What will you do for the remaining 22 hours? If you don't have meaningful engagement, you'll go crazy, or you will go back. You will go back to what you were doing, which is a fall down, right? So accepting something like this immaturely is also not advisable. And if accepted immaturely, then there's a high chance of falling also immaturely. Mm. But it is something that one should consider. If somebody is getting so much drawn towards bhakti and losing interest in material activities, it's a good qualification. It shouldn't be discouraged as long as it is natural. And we have to give time. We have to, somebody who's mentoring such people have to test, etc., to make sure that actually that taste is actually there. Right? Very simple. If somebody is working 5 days a week, Saturday, Sunday, load them with devotional activities and see how they sustain for 3 months, 6 months. If their enthusiasm is increasing and increasing and increasing, and they're saying, no, no, 2 days is not enough. I want to do one more day. I want to do for 7 days. Then you know that, okay, and also the effort, not just in words, then we know that, yes, this devotee is right there. So then help him get unentangled from material life. This is a normal process actually. Unfortunately, today these things are seen as overly transcendental. Why do you have to do this? Why can't you simply just continue working like many others? Or why do you have to forsake your material occupation? No, but we have to be true to ourselves. Right? We are cheating ourselves by just not letting ourselves go in the direction if we have a natural drive. But here, what Narada Muni is saying, yet there is no danger of his being unsuccessful. Even if he falls down, no problem. No problem. There is no danger of his being unsuccessful. Krishna will pull him up. On the other hand, a non-devotee, though fully engaged in occupational devotees, does not gain anything. Because all that he gains is material, which is all temporary, which is going to get lost anyway. There's nothing, he didn't add anything to his permanent bank balance. All temporary bank balance destroyed. Temporary bank balance destroyed. That's all. Foolish waste of time. As far as the duties of mankind are concerned, there are innumerable duties. Every man is duty bound not only to his parents, family members, society. This is uh, uh, what is that verse? Mm, mm, oh, what is that verse which talks about all the obligations we have? Mm, anyway. Uh, Family members, society, country, humanity, other living beings, the demigods, etc., but also to the great philosophers, poets, scientists, etc. It is enjoined in the scriptures that one can relinquish all such duties. One can relinquish, give up. So many duties are there. Bhutapta, Dranam Pitranam. Mm, uh, uh, One second. Half verse comes, other verse, another half doesn't. देवर्षि भूताप्त नृणां पितॄणां न किंकरो नायं ऋणी च राजन् सर्वात्मनाय शरणं शरण्यं गतो मुकुन्दं परिहृत्य कृतम्. So Devarshi, demigods, Bhuta, other living entities, Apta, family members, Devarshi, Bhuta, Apta, and Ranam, human beings, Pitranam, parents, ancestors. So all these six kind of obligations are there. But it is okay to relinquish all such duties and surrender unto the service of the Lord. Mm. So brahmacharis are glorified. Sannyasis are glorified. It's only the fallen grihasthas who remain in grihastha ashram forever. It's not at all recommended. It's not something which is highly talked about in spiritual um, culture and spiritual societies. Which is why the entering into finishing grasta activities, vanaprastha, all these are very important. It's a very simple thing. Like I was telling my mother yesterday, saying that she keeps taking, she's 82 and she keeps still feeding herself with so much, small, trivial, not gossips type, but some, oh, okay, what about this? What about that? Small things in the house. I said, why are you worrying about all this? There are younger people than you. It's their responsibility to take care. They will figure it out. Why are you worried? Because the more you put all kind of garbage into the head, there's no place for Krishna in the head. And we'll get used to, and we so much enjoy this garbage, right? Chewing this garbage. So it has to reduce. At some point of time, the only thing that has to be there in our head is Krishna. If we don't create anukulyasya sankalpa, like create a conducive environment for that, we are going to just keep feeding on garbage only. Garbage in, garbage out. So we have to, I mean, this is actually, this is not an option at all. This is not optional. It's just a simple understanding matter of consciousness. Our consciousness is driven by what we keep putting into our heads. That's all, right? If you are engaging in 24 hours Krishna consciousness, we'll have Krishna in the head. Even with 24 hours Krishna consciousness, just keeping Krishna in that is so difficult, right? Now imagine if you're doing 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours, how will we keep Krishna in our mind? Mm. But it so happens sometimes that one surrenders himself unto the service of the Lord by some temporary sentiment. And in the long run, due to so many other reasons, he falls down from the path of service by undesirable association. See, this is very important. Even if there is a temporary sentiment, if he has desirable association, he'll get over. He will win over. Right? Temporary sentiment, meaning it's not some false sentiment, it's just temporary, meaning it could have sustained if he had had the right association. But because of many reasons, he didn't get the right association also. He was not strong enough to sustain. That is temporary sentiment, right? There are so many instances of this in the histories. Bharat Maharaj was obliged to take his birth as a stag due to his intimate attachment to a stag. He thought of this stag when he died. As such, in the next birth, he became a stag, although he did not forget the incident of his previous birth. Similarly, Chitraketu also fell down due to his offenses at the feet of Shiva. But in spite of all this, the stress is given here to surrendering unto the lotus feet of the Lord. So what is Prabhupada is saying? Yeah, there are incidents where people have fallen, but still, in spite of all this, one has to surrender unto the Lord. Even if there is a chance of falling down, because even though one falls down from prescribed duties of devotional service, he will never forget the lotus feet of the Lord. See, this is the beauty. Once engaged in devotional service of the Lord, one will continue the service in all circumstances, meaning it might be temporarily hampered. That's all. Right? And one cannot forget. Prabhupada elsewhere write that he doesn't fall. He doesn't fall like other karmis. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that even a small quantity of devotional service can save one. व्यवसायत्मिक बुद्धिहीनो न्याय विक्रमणा स्वस्ति प्रत्यवायो न विद्यते स्वल्पमप्यस्य धर्मस्य. Small quantity of devotional service can save one from the most dangerous position. There are many instances of such examples in history. Ajamila is one of them. Ajamila in his early life was a devotee, but in his youth he fell down. Still he was saved by the Lord at the end. See, so Lord will never give up. Lord will never leave us. He's always there because we've come and sincerely we've tried to serve him for some time at least. He will not forget. We might forget. He will not forget. And this is one of the qualities of Krishna. You know, he's he's obliged when devotees do something. When some jivas offer some service to him, Krishna doesn't forget. Okay, I'll stop here because actually next 2-3 days at 9 o'clock I have something else for so I'll stop. If there's any questions, maybe 1 or 2 minutes we can discuss. Hare Krishna. Yeah, any questions, thoughts? Okay. Yeah. Yes, Mataji.
नहीं प्रभुजी, I just wanted to say Hare
Okay.
Krishna.
Okay. Okay. श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, वांछाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधुभ्यो च Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. By the way, so
Hare
just
Krishna.
wanted to tell, so in temple today evening, tomorrow morning and evening, there's a nice seminar on Pramada, Shuddha Bhakti, Shuddha Nama Chintamani, Amabhadra Priya Prabhu. So it's a nice seminar. Those who can attend, please attend. I'll see if there's any kind of a Zoom, I'll share on the group. But today evening, tomorrow morning, and tomorrow evening. It's something that I also wanted to discuss at some point of time, that book. So we'll see. But yeah, it'll be nice to attend. If anybody attends, kindly share some notes because it's a very, very important book. And also tomorrow we will do at 8:30 only because I have cooking service today and tomorrow. So 8:30 we will meet 8:30. Hare Krishna.
Hare